Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Code Lovers, Pipeline for Software Development. In this video, I am going to show you how you can create custom commands in Django Framework. So you can see in my Visual Studio Code, I have an app here, example app, and here I need to create a custom command. What are commands in Django? So if you create an app, Django admin start project and the name of the project, or else you do start app which creates an app, or else you can do python manage.py run server or make migrations. So all are run server, make migrations, all are custom commands in Django. Django also provides us a class through which we can subclass and create our own custom commands. So now you want to create a custom commands, you have to go to your app, and within the app you have to create a folder called management, and inside management you need to also create a folder called commands. So whenever you type any command, so Django will automatically look within this particular folder to see whether the command you have entered matches or not. Now I will create a simple command. Here you have to you need to import a class. You need to inherit the base class. I will create a class called command, and here inherit the base class. Here the most important thing is to override a method which is handle method. Which takes self, args, and also it takes options. You can display some text, for example print handle method. If you go to terminal, and here if you just type manage.py and you hit enter, here all the commands which are registered will be displayed, but our command has been displayed here. It is not displayed here because if you want to display the command, you need to register your app within settings.py file. And rerun the command. Here you can see example underscore command line. So now our app commands within our app has been listed here. We can use this, and if you want to use python manage.py, the name of the command. Here you can see our handle method has been called. So by default the handle method is implicitly called, so all your business logic goes within this particular method. Now if you want to display something in the console, the best thing is to, instead of using sprint, you can use something called self.std output and .write. If you run again, so Django recommends is to use std output and also std error. If you want to output something, you can also display outputs in the various font colors. Go to this particular section, and here you can use self.style, and here is an attribute called success. Run this command. You can see it displays in a green color. There is also another command called error. Then there is a warning. This is actually a font, not command. This color is the font. And there is a notice which gives you the same output just like error. And you have these four options here available. Coming to the parameters, by default this particular command has no parameters to take. You can specify number of parameters that a command must accept. That must be specified in add arguments method, which take a self and a parser. This is a Django command parser object. And here what you can do is, here you have to create a parser. Now you need to name an argument, like you first name. So I'll just comment this all. Here you can access those things in the options. If I just print options, you can see there is a dictionary we receive. If I run it without command, it gives me the error. It says that required first name. Now this is a positional parameter, so you don't need to write like first name and then equal to. You just need to find the name. And here you can see there is a dictionary we received. This is our wherever argument is, and here is the value of that particular argument. You can also specify the data type for this, like type str, which is string, and this must be string to work. You can alternatively create multiple such of positional parameters. Suppose age must be int, and here if I 15, it tells me first name Sam, age 15, and suppose if I pass any string here, so here you can see invalid int value. No, from here you can specify which type of data you want the particular argument must be. If you want to receive a list of items, then also you can specify here by providing another option. If you want your argument to accept multiple values, then you can consider adding another parameter here, n args. Suppose I want this age to have 2 values, so I can pass 2 here, and then 10, 11. Here you can see it displays me a list, 10 and 11. You can specify n number of those, and there are different options you can add here. The first option you can specify if you want to have only one value, but which is optional. You can specify question mark here. So for this, even if you don't add any value here, it still considers it as none. So this is just a default. This is a non-mandatory positional argument you can specify here. And if you want a mandatory argument, plus you want that to have at least one value, then you have to specify plus here. Here you need to specify at least one value, and if that will be considered as a list. And the other thing is, you can also add a star here, which says that the particular positional parameter will consider multiple values which will be stored in a list. So you can add 10, 22, 30. So all this will be converted to list and added to this particular key here. Apart from having positional arguments, you can also choose to have named arguments, which are optional also. So here I'll create a simple named argument. So I'll comment this. So to create a named argument, you need to specify at least one dash or double dash. So if you specify a dash or double dash, that will be considered as a named argument. To pass a parameter to named argument, just call the double dash here is student equals yes, and here you can see is student, it is showing yes. uh, in the options you don't get double dash here, so that will be excluded. So yeah, you have to access here without double dash, because the named arguments are actually optional, and if you don't want to pass them, you may choose not to, and it will just assign the value as none here. If you want to have a named argument, and you don't want to specify any value to that, then you can consider adding an action attribute here as a parameter. So here if you do action store true, what this does is here I don't need to pass any value to eStudent. If I just call eStudent, then it will be considered as true. Here it is shown here, and if you don't pass that particular named parameter value, then it will consider it as a false. So there is other thing available for, you can also add false here, or you can simply use store, which just stores the value. If you want your name parameter to accept multiple values, then you can consider adding another argument to that, which is metavar, and here you can specify in a tuple, you can specify the name of the value which will be assigned. For example, I'll just let this be here like this, hobbies. I don't need action, I'll just use metavar hobby1, and I'll make this as hobby2. Save this, and now if I run, so here it says length of metavar people does not match the NRs. Here we haven't provided that, so you can provide NRs as 2. And you can see the hobbies is displayed as a list here. So now coming up to this particular handle method, you can handle the various options. For example, you can access that just like a dictionary. Just look through all the hobbies. Similarly, you can access name, eStudent, and first name. The way you can handle it here also. Suppose if you want to raise an exception here, so like for example, I want hobbies to have at least one of the item to be added, or else if not, so here you can do something called, you can throw or raise an exception in the command line. For example, I want a user to always provide some value to each student. So if it doesn't provide, I want to raise an exception. So what I'll do is, if options is none, then I can raise an exception here. But to raise an exception, you need to Django provided a command here, a particular object here, that is command error. You can use this, and inside this you can pass the message you want to display. If I run this, you can see we are getting the error now. We will be looking at another example of how to use commands in a project level base. So for that, here I have a model called to do model. So it has 3 fields. One is auto field, and second one is name, and the third one is the boolean field, which takes 1 or 0 value. So I will create a command for that. Inside the command, I will create a command called to do model. So it has 3 fields. One is auto field, and second one is name, and the third one is the boolean field, which takes 1 or 0 value. So I will create a command for that. Inside the command, I will create a command So I'll just copy the same thing here, and now I can refactor my code. So in terms of positional argument, we need the name first, and then I will give one default argument or a named argument, so which you can say is completed, and basically it'll take true or false. Here I will specify another action called primary key.pk, which is a primary key, and this will be having type as integer. If you want to update, so I'll be using this particular key. I'll check if the options has primary key. If it has, then I will update it. I'll create a new object. So here is a message which is empty. If it is update, then I'll give successfully updated, else created to do. Finally you can pass it here. So let's try it out. The first one is a positional argument, and the second one is completed, so which I'll not give because it is not completed. So now that if I go here, you can see the to-do has been created now. So by default it is false because I haven't provided the is completed value. And here if I want to update this, I'll simply go and pk as 1, refresh this, and you can see it has been updated. Now what we need to do is, I can also specify here is completed, which will turn from 0 to 1. And now if you want to delete this, I will specify a parameter. So for that I need to use this. And if it is delete, also for that I'll provide a parameter. So this is a boolean, so I'll just action store true. Here I can select the to-do app which needs to be deleted. If you want to, if this doesn't exist, then you can give it through an error. and here I can finally delete it. Give a message. Now here I have provided primary key 1. I don't need this, and if I specify delete, so it has basically deleted it. So it is showing updated. So here it has been removed. So here I have noticed one thing, that when you do delete, you don't need to specify the name for this particular to-do. So what you can do is I need to make this particular as an optional by adding question mark. Means it can take one argument, or if it doesn't take any argument also, it won't give you required error. So now I'll just create another one. So now if you want to delete this, so you need to specify an ID here, delete, okay, equal to, and it has been removed. You can also do some documentation for your command, like how many arguments are required and what does the particular argument mean. For that you have to use .py, you have to use help, and the command name is your command is to do. Here you can see all the text is displayed here, like what of the parameters are split. There's a new parameter here, there's a pk, and there's a delete. You can give some explicit verbose or some explain these particular things here. So by passing a particular argument called help, and for this also we can give So now if I run this again, here you can see all the contents here, and if there is an optional argument, then it will be specified in the below section, which says I have written here boolean value if to is not completed. The same thing you can do it for pk or delete argument also. And if you want to describe the whole, you want to provide a custom text which describes the whole command, then there is a attribute you need to add here. So it is a class attribute, and the argument name is help. So basically this particular text describes this particular command. And if you run this at the top, you can see the text is displayed here, and all the various options will be at the bottom. The custom commands created can also be run as a code within your views and other Django files. In the views.py file, I have created a function here. Basically, this is run command. If you want to run command, then you need to call a method called call command method to run that particular method. For example, in the management, so you need to import Django core. You need to import the management, and from the management you need to use call command. So here first thing is you need to use the name of the command, and the second thing you need to specify the parameters. So if I go, so here in the to do we have a name as parameter which is positional. So I will specify and you can also provide some other values. Is completed. So now if I run this, here you can see that to-do has been created. And now if you want to delete this, then you can pass a delete. You don't need this position argument now. And then pk. So this time the primary key of this is 3. Save this and it will be deleted. So it has been successfully removed. And now if you want to get the response from the command line or from the command to your Python code in the views file, so you can also do that, but for that you need to import from IO. You need to import string IO. So create an object of that, pass it at the end within the std out object, and here you can get the value. So to get the value, call the methods, call the object string IO get value method, and I will display it. So here instead of deleting, for an example, for the sake of example, I will create it. Refresh, you have to see the output here. So now you can see that we are getting the output, but here we are, apart from the output, also we are getting some special characters that must be removed. Also, the one thing what you can do is you can have the special characters as it is, or else there is another way you can do that, and it is a very simple way. I'll comment both the example here. I'll also remove this and remove std argument from here. Here I'll store the output from cmd output variable from the command line. Usually the call command does return none, but if you go to your command, you can also call this. Here what I can do is I can simply comment on this particular self std output and return the message directly. So just like a function returns a parameter value, it returns the value to here also, and this time we won't be having these special characters here, you can see. So now I don't recommend you using this way method because usually Django, what it recommends you is to use this self.std output to write the screen, and if you use a return like this, then the same thing will be displayed in the command line while you are creating it. So instead of using this, try to stick with this particular self.output only, which is recommended by Django. So this was all about custom command management and custom commands in Django framework. If you like my video, do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.